6 of us.
So imagine this, you're out to dinner with a group of friends. You've been looking forward to this dinner all week. So you're expecting a nice, cool, calm, relaxing time. Halfway through your plate of pasta, the gentleman in the chair right next to you falls out. It appears that he's going into cardiac arrest. Would you know what to do, and would you know how to respond to that gentleman until emergency services arrive? Today I'd like to talk about cardiac arrest, the importance of a quick response to it, and CPR, and a little bit of how to perform it. So what exactly is cardiac arrest? Cardiac arrest is actually the abrupt loss of the function of the heart in a person who may or may not have heart disease. This is not to be confused with heart attack, which is actually the blockage of the heart, so therefore the blood isn't able to move through it. A common issue resulting from cardiac arrest is ventricular fibrillation. And ventricular fibrillation, the best way for me to explain it is, imagine a human heart, for example a fist. So with the fist, if you look at the heart, there's 4 chambers, and the 2 top chambers are actually called the atria, and the 2 bottom chambers are actually called the ventricles. So obviously ventricular is going to refer to the actual ventricles of the heart. And fibrillation is actually, there's electric pulses within the heart that tell the heart to beat in its regular rhythm. Well, when it fibrillates, or from fibrillation, it actually almost quivers or convulses in different modes, so now the heart is not able to completely push the blood through. So what exactly is the importance of a quick response to this? Well, the Heart Rhythm Foundation states that after 1 minute of not breathing, damage to the brain cells actually begins to occur. After 3 minutes, there's serious brain damage likely, but the probability of recovering from it is still very high. After 10 minutes of not breathing and the onset of the cardiac arrest, many of the brain cells have died, and it's very unlikely that you will completely recover from this incident. And after 15 minutes, so many brain cells have died, there's serious brain damage, and the likely of surviving it, much less recovering from it, are very low. So on the flip side of that, obviously cardiac arrest can result in death. And after just as little as 8 minutes of the onset of cardiac arrest, death can occur. Cardiac arrest actually accounts for approximately 325,000 deaths a year. That's 1,000 deaths a day, or a death due to cardiac arrest every 2 minutes. So, how do you respond to it? Well, the proper response would be CPR, but there's actually a step before it that we can address. The step before it is to actually obtain an AED, which actually stands for Automated External Defibrillator, which are actually in many public locations nowadays. When you get that device, you actually bring it to the person's body, open it, and turn it on. Once you turn it on, it'll actually walk you through every single step you need to do. You don't need any training in it whatsoever. It'll actually start out with telling you to plug in the pads, which often are color-coded red and blue. Red goes into the red spot, blue goes into the blue spot. The device will then tell you to put the pads on the person's body. And there's actually a picture on most pads that tell you exactly where to put them on the body. At that time, it'll explain to you that it's analyzing for a shockable rhythm, such as ventricular fibrillation, which I had talked about before. Once a device is a shock, many devices will either shock on its own time, telling you to stay away from the body, or tell you to press the shock button, at which time it'll deliver its own shock. As soon as the shock is delivered, it'll reanalyze the heart rhythm, making sure it's either a shockable rhythm or a not shockable rhythm. If it advises that it's not a shockable rhythm, it will tell you to continue on with CPR. So what exactly is CPR? CPR stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. And there's actually 2 different forms of it nowadays. A lot of people have heard about it. There's hands-only CPR, and then they have the regular CPR, which most people are familiar with. Hands-only CPR actually refers to the type of CPR that people who haven't received any training whatsoever, or people who just aren't comfortable with delivering rescue breaths. Hands-only CPR is performed the same way, where you find your xiphoid process, which is directly below your sternum, 2 fingers up, you place your palm directly on it, interlace your fingers, and you start delivering the compressions. The compressions should be delivered at approximately 2 inches depth at 100 beats per minute. And 100 beats per minute, a lot of people refer to it as the Stayin' Alive disco song from back in the day. So as you do this, you do the 100 beats per minute until emergency services arrive. and you just continue doing it, and they will relieve you and take over the whole thing. So that's hands-only CPR. The other is the regular CPR that they're actually certifying on, which is performed the same way. You start delivering the compressions, but at that time you do 30 compressions, followed by 2 rescue breaths, which is performed by the head tilt chin lift method, which actually opens the airway. You deliver 2 breaths, 2 full breaths into an adult, and then continue on with CPR. So today I've talked about cardiac arrest, the importance of a quick response, and how to perform CPR and utilize an AED. So after all of that, I hope that when you guys are placed in a situation such as a sudden cardiac arrest, after today's speech, you guys will be able to do a quick response and save a person's life. Thank you.